Hello everyone, this is Allegedly Caleb, and I am back with some more exciting news that currently Panzer Campaigns Kursk 43 is on sale. So it is currently the WDS Game of the Week. They always put a new, not a new game, but they always put a game on sale every week. They've been doing that for a while now, and this week the game on sale is Kursk 43. So this is quite the game. It's got a mixed reception from the Panzer Campaigns fans. Overall, the Battle of Kursk is iconic. It is so iconic. It's one of the first battles where a bunch of new machinery was tested and tried out, including the Panther, the infamous Panther D, the first variant of the Panther that had a lot of mechanical issues, was featured in the Battle of Kursk. There were lots of tigers in the Battle of Kursk, lots of what were called the Elephant, which was a tank destroyer that I believe had an 88 on it. Same armament that the Tiger had. It might have even had a larger gun. If you know, tell me in the comments. But we're going to be taking a look at the scenarios in this game. I want to give you an overview of what you'll get if you buy the game. You can see that there are a lot of scenarios here, and they cover everything from July 5th start date to July 11th start date. So overall, the main campaign is a very manageable 121 turns. And by very manageable, I mean very manageable for Panzer campaigns. Especially the veterans know these monster campaigns can get very large, very long turn times. I believe some of the campaign sizes for France 40 are over 400 turns. So this, by comparison, is not that large. It'll still take you a long time to get through, but not like years and years. So we'll take a look at some of these campaigns. So we've got the full campaign, which starts July 5th, very large location, the Kursk salient. I'll let you take a look at that scenario briefing. You can see the Panther and the Elephant. This battle is going to be basically German armored thrust into Soviet strong points, full of fortifications, anti-tank traps, all sorts of stuff. Then you got the alternate version, which basically just has some different rules applied. So you can see recommended rules, alternative assault resolution. The difference there is basically alternative assault resolution makes it more difficult for infantry to stand up to tanks and armor in assaults. Anyway, then it cuts the battle up into the different sectors. You got the northern part, you got the southern part. Interesting that the turn times are different. You got more of the southern part. Interesting. Oh, it's slightly easier for the Germans in this one. It's a little small scenario. Another small scenario. Another small one. Good to see these small scenarios. Stalingrad of Kursk. This sounds interesting. Ponry. Interesting. I think I've heard of that. There is a diary of a German tank commander that I've read that I think he might have fought in Poniri. Ooh. We're going to have to take a look at this. Clash of Steel. That looks like it's going to be a big tank battle. This one's just easier for the Germans. Nice. Nice. You'll see a big feature. of you've got your historical scenario, and then you've got your scenario that's easier for the Germans. And that takes us back to one of the critiques of this game. And I try to be as fair as I can about these games, and I personally love the Panzer Campaign games. But this battle in particular, normally players like it when you have two sides that are somewhat even. I mean, maybe they're different in terms of capabilities. Like early war, Soviets versus Germans, you'll have stacks and stacks and mountains of Soviets that are all really crappy against a small amount of really elite German forces. And those two kind of balance each other out. And this one, now that it's 1943, the Germans are just, or the Soviets are starting to get their act together and starting to up their quality. And they've still got that numerical superiority, whereas the Germans are the opposite. They're starting to really take hits to their manpower, starting to draw up some of the dregs. They're it's starting to get tough for them. They're getting a little discouraged. So their morale level might not be as high too. And in this game, you're the Germans and you're attacking just these extremely difficult points to attack. The whole idea of the Battle of Kursk was that there was a large salient where many, many Soviets were in this salient, in this bulge, so to say. And the Germans needed a major boost. I think at this point they'd lost Stalingrad, lost the 6th Army, and they were really feeling it. So they wanted to cut off a large amount of Soviet forces and encircle and destroy them, just like they did in the early war. The problem is the Soviets knew the German tactics by now, the German operational strategies, and they knew that the Germans were going to attempt this attack. So they fortified the hell out of the corners where the Germans would attack to cut off the salient, knowing that the Germans would do so. And they stuck all their most powerful forces, all their guards forces, right in that area, hoping to lure the Germans in. And when the Germans did come in, it turned into one of the bloodiest battles of the war, especially in terms of armored forces. So that is the backdrop of this game. Now let's take a look at the monster scenario, your very large scenario. I'm going to turn off Fog of War. You can keep Fog of War on. Now let's take a look at the strength. You'll see the amount of forces that we're dealing with here. So, Germans, you've got 156,000 men just in Army Group Center, 104,000 men in Army Group South. For the Soviets, you've got 27,000 men in the Bryansk front, 200,000 men in the Central front, 177,000 men in the Voronezh front, 128,000 men in the Steppe front. And the Southwest front is not present. So that is a hell of a lot of men. And look at that. The VP total is almost doubled for the Soviets, which means that they have a lot more strength than the Germans do. In addition, the Germans need to get at least 12,000 points to get a minor victory. Now we'll see what that means. Let's pull up the jump map. So this is a pretty large map by Panzer Campaign standards. Blue is Soviets, red is Germans. So you can see Germans are concentrated along the edges of the salient. Soviets, you can see all their defensive lines around here. You can see they're ready, whereas in the center, they're pretty dry. One thing that the German players do when they're playing PBEM, play by email, sometimes they'll just rail a bunch of their forces out this way and then just push through the center, and that's how they'll try to win the battle, just based off of Soviet forces destroyed. It's difficult for the Soviets to deal with, and that's another critique. I keep bringing up critiques. I love this game, but that's just another critique that I've heard about it. So let's take a look at Kursk. Kursk itself is worth 1,000 points. most of the victory points are going to be up in these fortifications, and you can see it already. It is a wall, absolute wall. You got anti-tank mines almost all the way across. You got trenches, obstacles. You're gonna have anti-tank ditches. You can have a bunch of elevation they have to deal with. Got a bunch of towns, villages. Look at this. Goodness gracious, look at all those lines. Got even more back here. Let's turn these units back on. But as the Germans, you do have pretty powerful units. But the Soviets aren't anything to scoff at this point either. So you can see in the center, it just gets pretty light. Still pretty light. Now as we move further to the right or to the east, you'll see more Germans again. Here they are. Let's zoom in. So more minefields. The 2 on these red factors means there's 2 minefield factors, which basically just increases the amount of casualties that the enemies would take while trying to cross them. So many fortifications. That's not even all. You got all those lines. You got another line right here for them to fall back to. You've got another line right here. Where's Kursk? Oh, I think it's right here. Here it is. Yeah. Here's Kursk. You got a line around Kursk. It is, oh, and a river to cross. Crossing rivers is no easy feat in this game. So overall, it is so tough. This is why it's so difficult to be the German player. But let's take a look at a couple of the units. So again, the Germans have tanks all over the place. We want to find some of those Panzer divisions. So they got some Panzer 4Gs. A bunch of late or mid to late war stuff. Ooh, got some Goliaths. Ooh, that's fun. Are those Goliaths? Yeah, those are Goliaths, I think. That's fun. Lots of Stugs. Now, I'll take you to where I know a bunch of the heavy equipment is. Here we are. So this blue, those are just the regular Wehrmacht, regular German army. These gray ones, that's the SS. Those guys are going to have a lot of the elite equipment. On the Soviet side, the brown colored ones, that's just the regular Red Army. The red ones are the guards. So you can see all the elite troops are facing each other over here. So let's take a look at these guys. Yeah, this is the LSSAH. Panzer Grenadier Division. Very elite. All the best equipment. Got some Marder 3s. Got some of those little IG, or 150 millimeter IG. Here we are. Here's some Tigers. Some Panzer 4Gs, which are the latest Panzer 4s they have access to. Some SS Pioneers. Those guys will have flamethrowers. More Marder 3s. Some 88s. Ooh, here we are. Some Hummels. Some Vesps. That's self-propelled artillery right there. I believe those were pretty new around now. You got some Nebelwerfers. Some big boy Nebelwerfers right here. 21 centimeters. Some more of those guys. Here's an interesting unit. This is a unit of German captured T-34 76s. They had their own little, they're in Das Reich. Their own little, what is that, like a company? No, that's a battalion, I think. So again, morale level A. Those guys are going to be hard to deal with. Some more Wesps and Hummels. More, oh, I think that's the same unit I clicked on earlier. More Tigers, more, these are some Panzer 3s with some Panzer 4s. 88s. Martyr 3s. Stugs. More Martyrs. What I want to know is where the elephants are. Some more Tigers. You can see all of these units too have a lot of Tigers. More Hummels. And you got some of the other Vermanach units. Panzer III Flammen Panzers. They got flamethrowers. That's why they're so good at assaulting. Got some Panzer 4s and 3s. Look. More Hummels. You can see even the normal Panzer divisions have level A units. Some big siege artillery. Some more Tigers. Oh, I love Tigers. They're so cool. Oh, that's a big unit of them. Oh, that's a full-on Panzer battalion. Or heavy Panzer battalion. That's the 503rd Heavy Panzer Battalion. That's cool. Oh, yeah. That's a cool unit right there. Got a bunch of Stugs. Stug 3 assault guns. Gosh, these tanks are so cool. Now on the Soviet side, they've got their guards units are morale level C, which is average. They've got some Su-76 122s. See any other little interesting units? T-34s, mixed tanks actually. So I'm sure they've got a bunch of random stuff in there. See, their normal infantry is morale level D. But there's just so many of them. Here's a tank unit. Ooh, some KV-2s. Those are rare. Some more Flammen Panzers. Ooh, oh, here's some Panthers. Here's those Panther Ds. Yeah, good tanks, but you can see that little mechanical thing right there. That means that they are prone to breaking down. This is the battle where the Panther debuted, though. Little fun fact, in case you didn't know that. Oh, some more Tigers. Part of the Grossdeutschland Panzer Division. Soviet tanks. Now I wonder what the air forces look like in this game. Like, how powerful are they? Let's take a look at some of the Soviet units up here. Nice, got some light tanks and some Su-76s. KV-2s. Lots of soft attack. Lots of 120mm mortars. Let's see if we can find anything else that's interesting. We've already looked over here. Mixed tanks. Same as the other tanks we've seen. We're just going to take a look at some more of these, and then we'll turn over to looking at some bridge columns. We'll take a look at some of the other units in the game. Not other units in the game. We'll take a look at some of the other what would you call them? Scenarios. Getting so distracted from all these cool units. Okay, let's see what Soviets have in reserve. Like deep in reserve. Ooh, here's all their tanks. There's their T-34-76C. Yeah, C's. Got some tank riders. Cool. Good old T-34s. Another very cool tank. Very cool tanks. Lots of really interesting units in this battle. Some more armor over here we want to show. More T-34s. I think this was the point. Oh, look at this. Some Churchills. Cool. Got some Lend-Lease equipment here. Sure, there's probably Lend-Lease equipment everywhere we haven't seen yet. Did I see some units over here that were tanks? Parachute units. Here's some fixed T-34s. SU-122s. I think those were pretty new at this time. More Churchills. Very cool. Anything else? Okay, we're kind of in the deep back lines right now. What's this? T-34s? No, mixed tanks. I'm just taking a peek at everything. Alright, now we got more stuff up here. Oh, some more 122s. Alright, now we're getting to some more of this stuff that's interesting. Gosh, this is such difficult ground to fight over. Especially if you're the attacker. That would be horrible to have to fight in this battle in real life. On either side. SU-152, those are even bigger. I think those might have been used in an artillery role. Got some more Stugs. This heavy and siege artillery. Some more airborne units. Some Goliaths. Those might have been those same. Oh, no, maybe Goliaths are a little bit spread out over here. Got a whole airborne, a couple airborne divisions over here, I guess. Motorized units over here. Panzer IVs. I'm not seeing any elephants anywhere. Go on a safari looking for elephants. Any interesting Soviet units? Ooh, KV-1s. Cool. Kluge. Recognize that name. Get some motor mechanized units over here. These things weren't, the Hummels weren't the, no, I think those are different from elephants. Some heavy tanks. 505 heavy tank battalion. Some Panzer IVs. I don't know where those tanks are. The elephant, unless they arrived late. Or they're in reserve, deep in reserve somewhere. Which I somewhat doubt. I somewhat doubt that. It's the Moscow Kursk Railway. Is that everyone? Got some units coming in up here. Yeah, maybe they're in the corner somewhere. Coming on. I, for some reason, doubt that, though. More infantry on the way. That's disappointing I couldn't find those elephants. I was really looking forward to seeing those. Maybe I'll see them in one of the other scenarios. But anyway, you get the picture. This is quite the big scenario. Quite the grind. Let's check how much time we've done. Where do I see that? 27. Okay. Let's start looking. At some of these other scenarios. Here's a little one. A bunch of interesting units over here. This is one day into the battle. Oh, Panthers. You get Panthers in this scenario and Tigers. Hummels. Do the Soviets get tanks? They get some tanks. Not many though, unless they get reinforcements. Oh, here we go. This is Pawnry. Actually, where were we? Is this, what are we on? A gaping hole? Oh, we're on this. We bypassed a couple scenarios. This is the scenario route of the rifles. So got a bunch of rifle battalions, basically. Rifle divisions against a bunch of infantry, stugs, and artillery. Ooh, with some tanks. Yeah, some tigers. This looks tough as the defender. Let's see this one. I like how it's broken down into little pieces. More Goliaths, cool. Just look at all these defenses. It's insane. Here's another one. Oh, I think that we just looked at this one. Yeah, we did. We don't want to look at the scenario, gaping hole. There's a lot I could say about that. Bleed them white. Let's see what this is. Got the SS over here with all their scary units and their T-34s. Wondering if there's going to be anything special about them, like about their unit or anything, but it doesn't look like it. These are some powerful divisions. I think these were some of the only divisions that had tigers actually attached to them. Not many panzer divisions had tigers like in their division. They were mostly attached in these heavy tiger battalions, like the ones we saw earlier, like this one, Panzer Battalion 503. That looks like a good battle. Stalingrad of Kursk. Let's see what this is. Sounds interesting. So Pawnry. Just these little towns. Just 10%. I guess there's bunkers. They don't really seem like a Stalingrad. So this is a little bit after the battle's begun. This is one day after. You can see we've pushed a little bit into them. Ooh, some Sturmpanzers. Ooh, that's cool. You don't see those much. Yeah, so there's units that were not in the one we saw earlier that are now here. If we find an elephant, it will... Oh, some little Kubel wagons. If we find an elephant, it will probably be like far back. It won't be up on the line. Some more tigers. Okay. Soviets got a bunch of tanks over here too. Su-122s. KV-1s. KV-1Cs, in fact. All right, let's take a look at what's next. This is the Stalingrad of Kursk. Steel. Oh, this is the one with all the tanks. This is where we'll probably find elephants. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. This is a while into the battle. God, this is going to be quite the battle. Where's our Hummels? Or where's our... Oh, here's some tigers. Where are the elephants? Let's just show me some elephants. Here's those T-34s. Only 7 of them left. I'm sure some of them probably got shot by friendlies by accident. Wesp, Hummels. Well, I'm going to look this up. Elephant Tank World War II. Yeah, it's different. It's different from that thing I keep looking at. Ooh, here's those Churchills. Yeah, this is quite the battle. Units. Got a bunch of German reinforcements. Huh. I don't see him. So this is Clash of Steel. There's got to be a scenario that has elephants, you'd think, right? Like a small scenario. I just want to see their stats. I bet they're stacked. More Panthers. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how low they are. That's all that crappy, I bet the Tigers even had better suspension than them. If you know in the comments, do the Tigers have, did they have bad suspension, or was it that they had bad engines because they were so heavy? Tell me if you know. I'm curious. Alright, so that was 48th duel. Now we got 3rd Panther Corps, 3rd Panzer Corps at the apex. Oh. It should look like this symbol. That's a tank destroyer. Once I find one, I'll be done. And then we'll close out the video. Nothing. Nothing. What is this? 3rd Panzer Division? Or 3rd Panzer Corps? That was all the scenarios. Where the heck? I didn't get to see an elephant. That pisses me off. I am pissed. I am pissed off. I didn't get to see a single goddamn elephant this whole game. The scenario notes said that there would be. That would be really funny if it was just these the whole time. But no, a Hummel and an elephant are different. I'm just double checking. Yep. A Hummel was a German self-propelled gun. Yeah, it thinks I'm stupid now. Well, still, this seems like quite an interesting and fun game. So I highly encourage you to buy it. It is on sale for $30 right now. It's usually $40. Oopsies. Usually $40. Which is exciting because it is well worth the money. You saw that main campaign. Let me just pull it up one more time. I will admit the Smaller scenarios, there's not as many of them as there usually are. But look at this thing. Look at this monster. This will keep you occupied for like a year, maybe less than that, but still a year if you play the Germans and the Soviets, and maybe a year if you play PBEM. But anyway, everyone, I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say, and this will be pretty awesome. Anyway, everyone, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.